When Anthropic's Claude 3 launched in March 2024, it didn't come with the usual hype. No flashy press conferences, no media blitz, no tweets from celebrities promoting the latest features. But what it did come with was something far more important. Genuine performance improvements that are forcing people to rethink everything they thought they knew about artificial intelligence and which tools to actually rely on. For years, OpenAI's GPT-4 has been the gold standard, the model that dominated benchmarks, powered enterprise applications, and set the tone for what advanced AI could accomplish. Developers chose it by default. Businesses built their products around it. Universities studied it. The narrative seemed settled. OpenAI had the best. But here's what's happening right now. Claude 3 is quietly outperforming it across nearly every meaningful metric. And most people haven't even noticed. This isn't speculation or opinion. This is a shift grounded in observable reality, an understanding why matters for anyone paying attention to where artificial intelligence is actually heading. The benchmark revolution. Let's start with the numbers, because they tell a story that's hard to ignore. Claude 3 Opus demonstrated significant performance gains across nearly every meaningful metric. On graduate-level reasoning tests, Claude 3 achieved 50.4% accuracy compared to GPT-4's 35.7%. That's not a small improvement. That's a fundamental leap in the ability to tackle complex problems. In mathematics, the pattern continues. On basic math problems, Claude 3 scored 95% versus GPT-4's 92%. On advanced math problem solving, the gap widens to 60.1% against 52.9%. On coding tasks, Claude 3 reached 84.9% accuracy, while GPT-4 achieved 67%. These aren't close calls. These are decisive advantages. The most fascinating benchmark is something called the needle in a haystack test. This evaluation measures how well a model can find a single piece of information buried inside enormous amounts of text. Claude 3 Opus didn't just win this test. It exceeded 99% accuracy and went further by recognizing that the test itself was artificial, identifying that the information had been artificially inserted. It essentially detected the test methodology. GPT-4 simply couldn't do that. Then there's the practical matter of context window, which determines how much information a model can hold in memory. Claude 3 Opus maintains a 200,000 token context window, allowing it to work with nearly 500 pages of written material simultaneously. GPT-4 maxes out at 128,000 tokens. This means Claude can handle entire codebases, lengthy research papers, or massive document collections without losing critical information. For professional applications, this is transformative. The silent advantage here is what makes Claude 3's rise particularly interesting. It's not been driven by aggressive marketing. Anthropic deliberately took a different approach. The company philosophy centers on building AI systems that are reliably helpful, honest, and harmless. This means less emphasis on speed to market and more focus on getting the fundamentals right. One particularly telling moment happened on the chatbot arena leaderboard, which crowdsources comparisons between AI models through actual user interactions. In March 2024, Claude 3 Opus momentarily topped the rankings, becoming the first non-OpenAI model to reach first place. For the first time, users voting with their actual experience preferred Claude to GPT, while OpenAI later released updated versions to reclaim the top position. That moment demonstrated something crucial. The advantage isn't merely theoretical. Real users noticed the difference. What's driving this performance gap? Claude 3 was built with constitutional AI principles, a method that involves training models using a set of ethical guidelines rather than relying solely on human feedback. This approach produces models that don't just perform better on benchmarks. They demonstrate more nuanced understanding of context, better judgment in complex scenarios, and a reduced tendency to produce incorrect answers confidently. On the critical measure of reducing hallucinations, Claude 3 Opus demonstrated a twofold improvement in accuracy on difficult open-ended questions compared to its predecessor. More importantly, it showed significantly reduced rates of incorrect answers. The model essentially learned to admit uncertainty rather than fabricate information, a distinction that matters enormously in professional and research contexts. The practical edge. The practical edge. The real story isn't just about benchmarks sitting in research papers. It's about what this means for how people actually work and solve real problems every single day. Claude 3's larger context window creates possibilities that GPT-4 cannot match. A software developer can feed an entire codebase with thousands of lines of code and ask for comprehensive improvements across the entire project. A researcher can upload dozens of academic papers and request a synthesis that maintains awareness of all documents simultaneously. A business analyst can process massive datasets and maintain context about relationships and patterns throughout. This context advantage compounds over time. Projects that would previously require breaking information into chunks now flow seamlessly into Claude. Work that demanded artificial segmentation can now be processed holistically. For professional environments where accuracy and completeness matter, this is transformative. Claude 3 also demonstrates superior capabilities in multilingual work. On multilingual mathematics problems, Claude scored 90.7%, while GPT-4 managed 74.5%. For organizations operating globally, this is a meaningful advantage. If you're running international teams or working across language barriers, Claude's consistency becomes a practical asset. In writing and content generation, Claude 3 consistently outperforms on tasks demanding nuance, creativity, and accuracy, while GPT-4 excels at certain structured outputs. Users frequently report that Claude produces more natural, better written responses. The model avoids the stilted phrasing and over-reliance on bullet points that sometimes plague GPT-4's output. For communications professionals, content creators, and editors, this difference is immediately noticeable. The business reality, Anthropic also positioned Claude 3 more intelligently. On pricing, understanding that cost matters as much as capability in real business decisions. Claude 3 Opus charges $15 per million input tokens, while OpenAI charges $30 for GPT-4. On output tokens, the economics shift. But for high-volume input scenarios, where context window advantages matter most, Claude's pricing becomes substantially more attractive. This becomes particularly significant when you factor in that larger context, windows mean fewer API calls required to accomplish the same work. Major enterprises have taken notice. Businesses like Stripe, Asana, and Airtable began incorporating Claude into their platforms, not because of marketing campaigns or sponsorship deals, but because the model solved problems better. GitHub, which powers millions of developers worldwide, chose to experiment with Claude alongside its existing integrations. These enterprise decisions matter because they reflect real-world performance evaluations by teams with genuine skin in the game. They're not testing for benchmarks. They're testing for production reliability and business value. The frontier of artificial intelligence has become genuinely competitive, and competition drives innovation. For users and organizations, this means choice finally matches the rhetoric. You're not forced to accept that one company's model is inherently superior. You can evaluate based on specific needs and capabilities. You can test both and determine which better solves your actual problems. For developers building applications, Claude 3's advantages in reasoning, mathematical problem-solving, and extended context processing create meaningful strategic advantages for certain workloads. For research institutions, the ability to process entire collections of academic work without context loss changes what becomes computationally possible. Anthropic's Claude 3 isn't secretly taking over in some hidden revolution. It's steadily proving through consistent performance and enterprise adoption that it deserves consideration as the primary choice for serious AI. applications. Sometimes the most significant transformations happen quietly, measured not in headlines or viral moments, but in capability metrics that matter to the people actually using the technology every single day. That transformation is happening right now, and the implications are only beginning to unfold.